Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Distribution Strategy Group Technology Leader Panel called Navigating the Digital Customer Experience Frontier in Wholesale Distribution. My name's Ian Heller. I'm with Distribution Strategy Group, and I'm delighted to host this panel today with these fantastic panelists. We've got Jason Hine from Bloomreach, Dave Bent from ECI Software Solutions, and Alex Timlin from SAP. I'm so happy that these folks have joined us. I'm going to introduce them in just a minute. But I want to tell you, first of all, bring your questions, ask them early. Sometimes what happens on these calls is people wait till the very end to ask their questions, and we get there and suddenly there's 6 stacked up and I can't get to them. So you've got 3 absolutely premier expert technology thinkers in front of you today talking about something that's so important, which is customer experience, digital customer experience. Make sure you get your questions out early. There's a Q&A button. If you ask the question and provided it's related to the content, which 99% of the time it is, I will get the question in to the panelists. So don't wait until the end because we'd love to get your participation. We want this to be as valuable as possible for you. And the way we do that is by getting you to weigh in with questions about what you want to learn from these brilliant panelists. And speaking of brilliant panelists, let me bring them in now. And they can do some introductions about them and their companies. But Dave Bent, Jason Hine, Alex Timlin, thank you so much for joining us today, gentlemen. We really, really appreciate it. So Dave, let's start with you. Why don't you give us a little bit about your background personally, and then ECI software and what you guys are doing there. I know you had a big change in the last year or so. So why don't you fill us in?
No, absolutely. Thank you, Ian. Hey, hello, everybody. I am Dave Bent, and just, I guess, by way of background and career, I spent my whole career in manufacturing and distribution companies, actually the last 20 years in distribution companies, some of them actually very large, global. And I guess the last 20 years has been, I'd say, the period of at least digitization to date. So lots of experience trying to help those companies. And then 7 years ago, I joined a company that is, we were acquired, we're part of ECI. And ECI is a software company headquartered out of Texas, actually founded back in 1991. And the focus really of ECI is helping small, medium distributors and manufacturers be successful with their software solutions. And up until they acquired us, it was really focused on ERP systems, and then acquired our business where we have an e-commerce offering, Evolution X, that we started back in 2006 and focused 100% actually on B2B e-commerce for distributors. And today, fast forward, we've got about over 500 customers on the platform. ECI actually has about 23,000 customers. So looking forward to the panel. And Ian, I'll pass back to you, or I'll let you kick off the next panelist.
Fantastic. And I could tell you're from Texas by your accent, Dave.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, since you're next on the screen, left to right, Jason, let's go to you. Welcome back, my friend. You've been on a lot of our programs. It's good to see you again.
It is always an honor and a pleasure to share a screen with Ian Heller. Today I came with, I've often suffered from headphone envy when I've been on calls with you, so I tried to step up my headphone game a little bit. I am the principal B2B visionary at Bloomreach. After 26 years in the space, I think I've finally started to get my head around this whole technology part of it. And have been with Bloomreach for about 3 years, and basically we are a company that helps customers both on the distribution and the manufacturing side and B2B make it easier for their customers to use their website, make it easier to find what you need, make it more likely that the things you show your customers are actually relevant to their business, and help you make a little bit more money. All 3 of those little things, very small, but very important.
That's great. And Jason, you worked at MasterCard for a long time and helped start up Amazon Business, right?
Yeah, you're welcome, I guess. Yeah. So yeah,
that was an accusation.
I know. I'm like, I'm gonna. It's Yeah. I mean, it's one of the, like, I was at Amazon because the customers wanted to go there, right? I
Yeah,
mean, I
right,
think that's the thing that people don't quite
right.
understand is people are buying on Amazon Business. I think not because the Amazon Business experience is a great one,
Yeah,
but because that's just the one that they're used to.
yeah.
And I'm sure we're going to pull that thread a little bit.
Yeah, we sure will, and I'm looking forward to it because you and I have talked about it's really a lousy experience, but people go there because it's easy in some ways. Now let's go across the pond. Alex Timlin really should be in a pub somewhere, but instead you've upgraded your day's experience to join us on this program. So we really appreciate it. It's great to see you. Welcome to the program. Why don't you tell us a little bit about you, what you do at SAP, and what your part of SAP does for distribution customers?
With pleasure, and greetings from across the pond. And I do make terrible life choices. I would rather be in a pub than with you fine folks, but it says more about the pub than the opportunity here. I lead customer experience and CRM solutions here at SAP, so based in the UK, but responsible globally for the solutions that we have in that space. Worked in the industry for coming up on 20 years now, and was lucky enough to be one of the founding members of the Customer Engagement Council for the Data and Marketing Association in the UK. So here in two capacities, one in just community and being out there as an advocate for great customer experience. But in the second one of my day job is SAP manage more than 80% of the world's transactions. And we have a very, very strong showing in wholesale distribution. It's actually our largest industry in the US and also in Europe by customer accounts. So we have some very large enterprise accounts that are very familiar to a lot of people, but actually I'm more proud of the fact of the tens of thousands of family-owned and family-run businesses in the US that are really looking to provide different ways to digitally engage, sell, and serve their customers. We have 8 industries that represent the vast majority of our revenue, and wholesale distribution, consumer products, retail, and manufacturing are by far and away the standouts. And I think there's some very interesting parallels between what's going on in those other industries that's shaping the product offerings that we have that could help some customers in this industry adopt from what's really mature in other industries, but then also look at how do we help them on their own unique journeys in what's a very complicated and very interesting industry in wholesale distribution in North America.
Fantastic. Okay, good. So I'm going to stop sharing here so everybody can see these handsome mugs I'm looking at. Look, I sent you guys questions. You probably took a look at them. For the audience, it is your job to make those irrelevant, knock us off our game, and get these guys to talk about stuff they haven't prepared for by putting questions in. And I'm going to start that trend because something came up in our pre-call discussion that was not in my notes. And that is the need for community. And so, Dave, you and Alex both talked about this in the context of live events. Jason, you weren't there for that, but I welcome your comments as well. But Alex, you brought this up, that distributors are looking for community as part of learning about things like customer experience. Am I summarizing that well?
Yeah, I think that one of the key challenges is that there's a lot of technology conferences around that kind of cater to lots of different industries and lots of different topics. So you kind of get a taster of solutions and capabilities, but don't really get the chance to dive deep into particular business models and business challenges. And I was speaking with the team at Cheney Brothers, who are a fantastic client, long-standing SAP client, who've done some really fantastic innovation, but they're a wholesale distributor in Florida. And there ain't a lot of conferences on distribution in Florida. So they're like, who do we learn from? And like, where do we start looking at? What are the good ideas? What are the bad ideas? What are the learnings? Because half of the transformation that's happening in this industry is how the changes are being to the customer's customer as well. And you need to kind of get ahead of the curve to settle some nerves, because there's very traditional businesses, family-run businesses in many cases, or at least board members that have been part of it for a long time. They need to understand they're not going to be doing things first. They want to feel comfortable that it's not going to break the way that they go to market, the way they engage with customers. And I think there's a duty of care we've got to this community to say not just technologically what's possible, but what have we learned from what good looks like in wholesale distribution from the folks who are doing it well.
And Dave, that resonated with you.
Yeah, it did. 100% actually. So as I mentioned, we've got over 500 customers on our e-commerce platform, and ECI overall 23,000 customers. But I think what I see most distributors kind of struggling with actually is, even before you get to the technology, is what's the right talent? What does it mean to the talent, to the organization structure? And so we get a lot of requests to, hey, can you connect me with another customer that kind of looks like me? And obviously you're talking about the technology, the data and everything, but wrestling with talent and finding the right talent in what are generally very, Alex just said it, traditional businesses, often family owned, the smaller ones. And this is quite a change. So yeah, community. And that's why, honestly, why I love the forum you set up here, Ian, because it's kind of sharing experiences as opposed to talking about technology. I'm sure we'll do a little of technology, right, Ian? But
yeah, I mean,
sure.
look, the technology is a means to an end, right? And it's really important. It's fundamental, but ultimately you're trying to add value, and that's integrating technology, the efforts of people with technology, with the right technology, right? Jason, what do you want to say about community?
I mean, I think it's even worse now, because distributors need communities about how to use the technology. It's not that the technology can do it all itself, right? I mean, this isn't if the technology could do everything, then it would already be doing it for every single distributor that's out there. There is still a need for people to apply the functionalities of these platforms in a way that makes the most sense for your business. Because ultimately, in the end, your business as a distributor, while yes, what you do is not rocket surgery, right? Like, we buy stuff, we put it on a shelf, we take it off the shelf, and then we send it somewhere. But it's in the way we solve problems and the way we build relationships, and where it gets very nuanced is, how do we use technology to help build those relationships, to validate the trust that our customers are putting in us, so that we're not looking like an idiot anytime somebody new comes to the website. Like, I think that's and the way, because a lot of the technologies that can do this are new, and certainly they're new to distribution, it's also really helpful and important that, like, we as software companies also help to build communities, right? That we introduce and connect our users to other users in similar industries, so that, and we provide a platform for those conversations to happen. Because the sooner everybody kind of figures out how to get the most functionality and the biggest return on these investments, which are, not insignificant, the happier everybody is. Both us, as software companies, we love it when our customers are more successful.
Yeah,
that's the best part of our day.
Yeah, so I think that need for community extends even down to the basics, right? Like, what does a great customer experience mean? What does a digital customer experience mean? And that sort of underpins this notion of being omni-channel, because in my experience, most distributors haven't done a good job taking their physical value proposition and extending it to the web for a variety of reasons. So Dave, why don't we start with you? We'll go around the horn here. How do you define a customer experience, a digital customer experience? And have you seen some cases where distributors have done it well? And, what are they often missing sometimes?
Yeah. And Ian, maybe I'll just back it up for a second, which is, what makes a great distributor, digital or not, right? And I would say generally where they differentiate versus maybe direct sales is the service level proposition, the actual relationship with the customer, the trust. They're always there, always on the end of a phone. And so you don't want to lose that, right? As a distributor, you don't want to lose that. It's kind of what's differentiating you in many cases. And so for me, it's kind of stepping back as a distributor and asking the foundation really is, what, all the interactions I have with my customers, telephone, face-to-face, email, whatever they are, could we make them simpler? for the customer? Could we make them more efficient? Could they be self-service? It might be simple things like inventory checks. It might be making the ability to pay invoices simpler. And you can come all the way up to kind of the value proposition of e-commerce and purchasing product. But I just think maybe a simple question to ask is, what interactions am I having with customers? And obviously get input from the outside, but what interactions am I having with my customers that I could digitize, but not degrade that kind of relationship experience? Things where customers do want a self-service, whether it's a mobile, a desktop. Why wouldn't you want to be able to look up products, look up inventory, check pricing, check order history, pay invoices? So I'll stop there rather than just keeping going. But I think that's the foundation. And then you can come up like a value stream where you maintain the current differentiator of relationship, but provide some self-service, which everybody I think loves. Why wouldn't you want to self-service something if you could?
So Alex, let's keep pulling on that thread and talk about, have you seen distributors that have done this well? And, so what does this digital customer experience mean to you, and how do you, make it happen, I guess, is the underlying question. And Dave addressed a lot of that. Have you seen it done well?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of examples of where it's been done well. I think there's two that spring to mind. I think one's Breakthrough Beverages as an example that I like a lot, because they've got a really good account team that are, to Dave's point, trusted advisors to restaurants, to bars, that they're selling liquor in regulated states and unregulated states. And they're there to help people navigate on, can I get the right amount of inventory at the right price so that my business makes margin? And that conversation with the account rep is about, how do I balance it so that you guys are making money, we're making money, everyone knows it's a margin game. So the promotion and the pricing bit and that relationship with the salesperson is key. But actually what we had to make sure of is, how do I supply 200,000, 300,000 small businesses with something that allows them to just change an order, add to an order, reorder, without needing to make a phone call or sending an email? And it's like looking at the balance of the phone calls, the emails, and the traditional relationships with, how can a bartender on a mobile device order more stock to make sure that they're ahead of the game? Like when they're doing stock take at the end of the night, or I'm in a restaurant and I need more heads of lettuce or tomatoes, then how do I make sure that I get that when I need it in the context that I need it? And I think that balance of, where does digital augment what you're doing for some of those low value transactional tasks to free up your people to focus on what they're supposed to be doing, which is the relationship management piece. And I think that's the bit where wholesale distribution's been maybe a little bit scared of some of the digital tools, is it's kind of all or nothing with some of the suppliers. They only talk about digital commerce, but they don't talk about how your sales team actually operate right now. Or they'll give you great tools for your sales team, but they don't talk about the digital tools for your customers. Yeah. The reality is, it's not a zero-sum game. You need smarter, more enabled humans to have those relationships. Otherwise, there is no differentiation. Your business model has differentiation in your service offering, but you need that convenience and that digital touch of that Amazon-like experience that we can thank Jason for, to make sure you can reduce friction and add value wherever possible.
That's great. Okay, good. And Jason, I think about, correct me if I'm wrong, I think about Bloomreach as enabling you to go beyond the basics, right? So a lot of the stuff that Dave and Alex mentioned about being able to check stock and check price and pay bills, that should be table stakes. It's not. I mean, a lot of distributors don't offer that, and they should but they don't for various reasons. But, when I think about like a lot of the customers who were early adopters of Bloomreach, like, the Grangers, et cetera, they're personalizing the actual experience online that goes in a way that goes beyond just offering everybody just a standard basic value package. Is that fair?
Yeah, I mean, so why do distributors exist, right? That's because the customers that we sell to have two moments. They have an uh-oh moment, and they have an aha moment. And our job as distributors is to make the time period between these two moments as short as possible. So when we talk with our customers about how do you move from just, that first problem, and how do you actually, it's not, most B2B uh-oh moments don't require just one thing, right? That's the nature of this business. Yeah. Yes, you need that motor, but you also need a bushing, and you also need a housing. You also need some, there's all these other things. And that's where historically distributors have stood out is we understand your business to the point where we know you don't just need that motor, you need all this other stuff, and you need the ability to figure out how to actually use it and tune it, and you need this tool. And so one of the things that, you know, technology today is doing is about moving beyond just an order pad of, okay, I know what I need, I'm going to come in and type in a part number and then place that order. Say like, oh, yep, you need that. Hey, do you need this? Here's the nut, here's the bushing, here's the lubricant. So that we're helping customers solve their whole problem, not just, you know, the thing that's created the uh-oh moment. That's how we get to that trust that Dave was talking about, which I think is really important. Our customers come to us because they trust us. They trust us to have the product. They trust us to know which one's the right one. And that gets built up over time. And if we create experiences online that are inconsistent with reinforcing that trust, that's where the relationship starts to break down. And that's where we lose customers.
Okay, that's great. And we have a question that is just spot point on. I don't even know if that's an expression, but whatever. Okay, so the question is, how does a medium-sized family-owned distributor compete with the giants like Build.com and Amazon? Are they missing something that a smaller outfit could capitalize on? We need all the help we can get. Okay, this is a great question. You guys are about to help somebody in a big way, maybe. So who wants to start?
I don't know. We have customers that compete with Build.com, so I'm happy to jump in.
Yep, go ahead.
Because we're in the, you know, we service distributors in kind of plumbing, electrical, and then lumber and building materials.
Yep.
So we'll kind of overlap into where Build.com is. First of all, I would go back to, you don't lose the relationship, you don't lose the trust. And I think a key thing is first of all, providing information about who you are, what you do, and then what are the products and services and solutions that you have to offer. And maybe I'll just dive in without going too long here into one of the things we've built for distributors who serve or service contractors. So like somebody involved in a construction project who are actually looking to quote their capabilities as the contractor to the architect or primary builder. And so just working together with distributors, it's like, okay, how can we help your customers, the end customer, be more effective? So a simple example is we actually created a capability where the contractor can log into the distributor's website and actually create a quote with the contractor's logo on it that they can either send the email or share with their end customer. So, and do it on mobile, whatever it might be. But and I'm going a level deep here because all the foundational things have to be in place. But that's something Amazon is. You never say never. Jason's on. Never say never to Amazon, but there's things you can do that really can differentiate you and make the experience better that they're not doing. And I would say, you know, Build.com isn't doing all of those things either. But I'll pause. It's just a very specific example.
Alex, did you want to go next?
Yeah, I think, again, it's a great question. And it's the one that needs to be answered the most, which is how do we differentiate beyond a transaction? So you're not going to provide a more efficient ordering experience for Build.com or Amazon for someone who knows exactly what product they need. But for the people who don't know what products they need and what products go with it, your guys have an unfair competitive advantage to Amazon because you know your trade. You know your customers, and it's really about understanding the value add that goes with it. And the CIO at Cheney Brothers said this, they're in the food distribution business. But look, we sell to restaurants. I need my guys to help people run a restaurant because most restaurants go out of business after 12 months. If you're looking at construction, it's a tough trade. Like, how do you make sure that you're working with the terms and the agreements and your knowledge of the industry to look after your customer and to show that you're more interested in having that customer for their next project, their next project, their next project again, because your business model is fundamentally different to Build and Amazon, who want people to search for things on there or somewhere else, but transact on their sites. Don't compete on the transaction, compete on the education and the value piece, and look at how you win the lifetime of the customer and the lifetime of the next project, not just how do I give you the product you need as simply as possible. It might sound counterintuitive, but you're not going to win on that game. So if anything, make the education bit a bit heavier and the account bit a little bit more arduous with the questions and answers to get to the product and get to the price, rather than playing their game and trying to do it with lower budgets.
Yeah, I mean, it's the combination of people and technology. And Jason, you talked about this earlier, right? In Amazon and Build only have one. They don't have the people at all. And so to the degree that distributors can leverage and make 1 + 1 = more than that, they do have an advantage. So what are your thoughts on this question, Jason?
You know, I'll keep it pretty quick. I think the other thing that we have to be mindful of is, as the next generation of buyers comes online, they're very, very sharp about understanding, why am I being shown the things I'm being shown on Amazon Business? And it is very transparent to them that a lot of the results that they're seeing when they go and search for something are there because those companies paid to be there, not because it's necessarily the right product for my application. And so if you want to compete with Amazon, then you compete by actually knowing what is the right product for your customers and show them that. Like that like I don't think we give, you know, for all the talk about Gen Zs and Gen Alpha, right? Like the next generation of coming up, their BS detectors when it comes to digital are very, very finely honed. And that genuineness, that authenticity that they've been looking for from the beginning, is one that you can show by creating a digital experience that demonstrates that you have an expertise. You know why you want to pick, to choose for a certain application this drill bit, for, like, if you're working in composites, why you need this drill bit versus this drill bit. Like, what is delamination? Why is this a problem? Your ability to demonstrate this clearly, not only in how you talk about it in your educational sections, but in the results of the product you serve up, are where you can really earn that trust. And that absolutely will help you stand out.
Yeah, I mean, Amazon for years called itself Earth's most customer-centric company, and they lost that position when they sold out their search to advertising. I mean, now, Amazon is Earth's most Amazon-centric company, and they are much more concerned about their objectives, in my opinion, in their search results than
when the sellers became customers. That confused that.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Okay, good. So, all right. So now look, you guys who are in the audience, you can see the value that you get from asking questions of this group of experts. Okay. So what are the challenges? And Jason, I'm going to reverse order. We'll start with you. We'll go back the other direction now. So you get to start while the other guys have a chance to think about it. What are some of the challenges that distributors face? And just to seed the conversation a little bit, one thing we talked about before the call, and we heard a lot at our recent conference, was you have to have your data ready to go. It has to be well, not just clean, but well organized and accessible to the tools that you're implementing. But what are some of the challenges that you see distributors facing when they want to put in tools from Bloomreach or other vendors?
I mean, I think the easy answer here is the fact that it's such a different culture. Change management will kill any project in distribution, right? It doesn't matter if you're talking about implementing new technology, relaying out your warehouse, your approach to digital. And I think that it can be hard for leadership in distribution, because in general, the way that you evaluate and make decisions for digital is a little bit different from the way that you may have made decisions around your business before. You may have relied very heavily on your experience, on a lot of anecdotes, on kind of your general philosophy. But it's so important for companies to learn how to become driven by data when it comes to decision making, whether it's using when you're implementing new technologies, ask to set up a pilot, ask to set up a proof of concept, get some A/B testing happening. Like you don't, critical decision making back in the day used to be a little bit of gambling, right? It was like, well, I got to make this call, and we got to be all in either way. But the magical thing about digital is knowing that, like, we can just try it for 5% of our traffic and see how that works. And if it doesn't work, then you roll it back. And when you think about decision making like this, the fact that there is this incrementalism that is a possibility, that is such a different way of making choices for leaders and distributors, that sometimes they really struggle to and that can hold people back from making the kinds of innovative decisions that they need to. So there's a lot of education, I think, that still has to happen about thinking digitally, thinking critically, and becoming more data driven in our respective cultures.
All right, great. And Dave, let's go to you next. What are some of the challenges that distributors face when they want to either create or upgrade their customer experience and their digital customer experience?
Yeah, no, we actually always say there's 3 foundational elements. It's actually part of our introduction when we meet a customer or prospect for the first time. So for us, we would say the number 1 foundation is having great data and content. Like we actually don't want to sell you a website, an e-commerce website, if you don't have great data. And what I mean by that is, first of all, just looking in your ERP system, that you have clean product data, which is easy to say, but most distributors don't. They've been putting products into the ERP system for maybe decades, and 50 different people have created products. So anyway, clean product, basic fundamental clean product data, really probably a clean customer file too. But when you've got the product data, then you need rich content for a website, right? Meaning images, videos, really detailed descriptions. And I would say until maybe the last 5 years or so, that was a very difficult thing for a smaller distributor to do. It's really impossible. Distributors have gone out and bought PIM systems and tried to get data from suppliers. Very, very difficult, very time consuming. But I think the good news is there are a number of companies now that have emerged, some specializing in certain industries, that can bring that rich content to you. So I would say take that, call distribution strategy group, or message me if you're kind of thinking of a company for an industry. But data is key, and rich product content. And the other thing is actually getting your if we're talking e-commerce for a minute, getting it connected to your ERP. And I don't mean we certainly don't want you duplicating price files, customer files, but pricing set up so it can be pulled in real time, inventory in real time, the customer file is synced, all these things. So connectivity and integration with the ERP. And if you've got those 2 things in place, then that's when you get to the e-commerce. And for me, I would say B2B is different. It's not B2C. I won't go into more detail, but I don't think signing up for a B2C type solution where that's been at least the historical focus of the platform is going to take you too far. So again, not to get into too much detail, but really focus on, and again, community. What are other people in your who looking like they're being successful? What platforms are they using? What's worked? What hasn't worked? And so those 3 things, and then last but not least, we come back to people, the right talent. And I would say just one thing there, where customers haven't really engaged in e-commerce, I would not go out and hire somebody who's done B2C. They kind of need to understand B2B. It is different. Ideally, they've got some e-commerce background, and ideally they kind of understand the industry and customer base that you're targeting. So not an easy hire, but talent is also so key. But as always, Ian, I'll stop because I could keep going for too long.
No, it's good. I've been a VP of marketing for 4 big publicly held distributors. I have hired someone out of B2C to run the e-commerce operations, and they were never able to understand the differences. I'm sure there are people who can, but
yes,
it's a significant risk.
Yep.
Alex, what are some of the challenges facing distributors who want to build a great customer experience?
I think to echo what the guy said, it's really about the use case. Because I think what we need to look at is, if we're going to look at changing customer engagement as it is today, how you engage, sell, and serve today is your customer engagement. how you want to digitally engage, sell, and serve your customers is a new opportunity. But you need to look at what's in it for your customers, but also what's in it for your business users. Like, where's the pain point for your service team, for your sales team, for your accounts team that you can resolve? And what's the pain point for your customers that you can resolve? And for us, it's the vast majority of the 25,000 wholesale distributors we work with have SAP ERP on the back end. And they're saying, look, the way I take orders, make orders, add to orders, change orders is just a little bit old school, and it doesn't scale with how many new customers I'm onboarding, and staff are expensive. And staff retention is a problem as well. So how do we look at how you take and make orders and make it a bit easier in things like customer specific pricing, quotation, re-up, reorder? And for me, I always say, let's start with any kind of EDI or any kind of sales order coming in. Where do your POs and your sales orders come in? How do they come in? Okay. How do your customers feel about that? Like, let's speak to some of your most loyal customers in any segment and figure out what they want to be self-serve or more easy. And that's the inflection point where you're looking at how can we change an existing process around how you take, make, or adjust an order to put the customer in control of that on their terms, to free up time and resources. And it's a very, very easy thing to look at. You don't need to have a gigantic 18-month full commerce rollout. You can look at some use cases that you can stand up in 6, 7, 8 weeks in some cases that will help you transform a legacy process or an existing process into something that is a bit more self-serve, but frees up the time and energy of your accounts teams or your sales reps to focus on the tasks that they actually want to do, not entering stuff into a back office system or a 15-year-old SAP ERP interface where they're there to take orders. They're not there to input orders into a system. Your business users don't want to do that anymore. Let's look at how to free up that and get your customers doing it themselves on ideally a mobile device or a laptop as an inflection point to talk about the use case and not worry too much about becoming an expert in commerce and all these different capabilities in the digital customer experience space.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I mean, you've got for all you guys, you need to put the customer at the center of this and not try to control their behavior, right? I mean, you need, however they want to buy is the right way. And you need to make it easy for them to buy from whatever channel, through whatever method they want. I remember back in 1999 or something, I was at GE Capital and I was in e-commerce. I was running an e-commerce business, and we had a call with Michael Dell, the Dell computer guy, who, by the way, was the e-commerce guy in the world at the time. And one of the executives asked him, Michael, at what point do you tell customers, if you want to buy from us, you have to buy online? That's just how we do business. And he started laughing and he said, I would never do that. If our customers want to buy with smoke signals, we'll learn how to read smoke signals. And I think, it's like these distributors that try to force online purchases when the customer just wants to shop online, then send you a PO afterwards. If that's how they want to buy, then make that easy. Have a quote cart, not just a shopping cart, for example. But anyway, let me get to a few questions here that have come up. Jerry, who's a good friend of the show. Hi, Jerry, says, to Jason's point about today's buyers having a well-honed BS detector, do you think AI will help Amazon overcome this disadvantage? And on the flip side, could AI help enhance the independent distributors' abilities to offer solutions based on a better understanding of their audience's needs? So I guess, what's the role of AI in Amazon making their experience better, or how can independent distributors use AI to maybe better understand their audience's needs and fight back against Amazon? You want to start, Jason, with that?
I mean, I think we have two different organizations tasked with solving two very different problems. Remember, you as an independent distributor, your goal is to solve that customer's problem to the best of your ability, right? Like, that's the value that you add. Amazon's goal is to make money from its website. So by definition, the way that you as an independent distributor are going to deploy AI is going to be different from the way that Amazon does. Because Amazon's going to use its AI to kind of optimize, placement of paid search ads, just as much as they are actually, like, it is in their interest, for better or for worse, for you to have a hard time finding what you want on your site so that they can better position the stuff that they want to sell on those results pages. So there's a natural conflict and tension that exists in their results pages. So for independents, the fact that you can stay, your revenue and profitability is not dependent on selling ads. And so you can leverage that to, again, not just help customers get from that uh-oh to the aha moment more quickly, but also to reinforce the fact that the solution that you have that provides that aha moment is the best one for that customer's situation, because you have observed all of the behavior, all the things that are looking at, all the things you're doing on your site, and you're remembering that. Your AI is learning from all of that behavior, layering it on top of the better quality of data that Dave was talking about, and using that to actually, show that customer that you're the one to be trusted. Again, it all kind of goes back to how do we create an experience that just raises that level of trust every single time any one of our customers interacts with us as a distribution company.
Alex, do you want to contribute to that answer?
Yes, please, because it's something I'm passionate about. And I think, to Jason's point, if you're Amazon, they're using AI to make it easier for you to find the thing you want to find on their website. Like, what they're going to get better at is when you type something in, how do I find that thing from the person who's paying me the most to promote their product? Like, that's their matchmaking, is this person wants to pay to promote their product. This person's looking for a product. That bit's very mature. If I look at some of the work that SAP are doing jointly with Microsoft, it's about how do I take the intelligence and the knowledge that you've got from emails, conversations, Teams calls, and that even like ordering documents and sales orders, and create a summary of your relationship with that account. And based on that summary of the relationship with that account, help make a decision over throughput and margin. Like, what's the pricing strategy to sell more? What's the pricing strategy to introduce new SKUs? What's the pricing strategy to make sure that I'm going to get repeat business from this customer? It's customer-specific pricing and customer-specific relationships is the lifeblood of wholesale distribution. We need to be able to do that at scale for these smaller customers so that your people can focus on the larger customers. And being able to look at AI as a way of looking at making better predictions on price, promotion, bundling, and the terms and conditions you give to customers is something you can do today at very, very low costs in terms of affordability, because your payback period is in months, not in years. Like, just being able to, in this current climate, make a better decision on margin and promotion in price setting in the context of that customer is something you cannot do at Amazon, because, to Jason's point, their objectives are different. Your objective is to get more money from this customer for as long as they're a customer. You don't want your customer to go out of business, and you want them to keep buying from you again and again and again. I don't know many people in wholesale that want a single order customer or a one-time customer. Right. So how do we use this to our advantage and find not one solution, but the right solutions that help us make better decisions on product, price, promotion, and elasticity on, in the context of this customer, what can I do so they win, I win, and they come back for more?
Yeah. Very good. Very good. Dave?
I just add one short thing, because I think Jason and Alex covered it really well. I think, as time progresses here in the B2B space, AI will help. I'll call it personalization, like customer segmentation, personalization, and again, enhance the experience to make it more personal, which is not, I think I could say, even if it's a large big box reseller like a Grainger and an Amazon, that's less of what they're focused on. And so it's going to help build on what they already do well, knowing the customer.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because, there is this notion of that, it's an ongoing relationship, right? And it's funny because you wonder, is it really in these dating sites' best interest to set you up with the perfect person? I mean, because then, you're never going to be a customer again, right? Maybe they should set you up with someone that you're going to initially get along with and later divorce. Maybe it should be called mismatch.com instead of match.com.
Yeah.
Okay, now we got the questions stacking up. So first of all, Jerry says, thank you for the insights. Next one is, what is the best advice? And Dave, we'll start with you on this one. This is right in the world you live in. what is the best advice you can give to a company that needs to clear up the years of bad data? I guess this is relevant to everyone, but how, you know, what do you start? Where do you go? How do you make it happen?
I think there's a couple of simple things. If you think about the product data, get your product data out of your ERP system. But first of all, get rid of all the products that you're no longer really selling. So foundational. But the product file usually, unless you're a really well-organized distributor, probably nobody's taking care of it because it wasn't really important. But get rid of the products that you're no longer selling. And then I would also say, generally 80% of the sales come from 20% of the SKUs, the products. So go look at those manufacturers, those SKUs, and start to look at how good the data is. And then I would also find a third party that can assist. And I certainly, if you're a smaller business, it's not going out and buying a PIM system. I'd see if you can find a data partner that does rich data content. And many of them now have matching capabilities, meaning they'll take an export of your ERP file and they'll run a match against what you have versus their rich content. And you'll quite often find you've got a low match, meaning you think you've got good data. Maybe you don't have clean manufacturer codes, short descriptions, brands, but leverage a partner to help you get that match and help you get the data cleaned up. And I could go deeper and deeper, but I think that's a foundation to the product. And then on the customer side, again, remove customers who haven't bought anything in some period, and then really look at our customers organized in a logical way consistently. And so I think most ERPs, most B2B e-commerce systems think of the customer as an account, maybe with multiple locations, multiple buyers. But that's usually important. Is it structured in a reasonable way? And then, work with your ERP partner, e-commerce partner. And there's effort though. There's at some point there's effort required. And I would say start early. Don't wait to start.
So let's go over to Jason. I know, Alex, you're eager to jump in on the next question, but Jason, what do you think about, what are the challenges in getting your product data clean?
Yeah, I would say everything that Dave said. I'm just gonna add a +1 to all of those. The only other thing I would add is take some time to establish what good data looks like. So it's really important to establish a standard for, like, hey, if these are the categories of products that we're going to carry, then this is the kind of information that we need to know for each one of those kinds of products. Regardless of whether you have a PIM system in place or not. If you have a PIM system, then that data model is basically what you can use to drive and automate governance, which is such an important thing for companies to do at scale. But it's also about kind of helping to set the standards, because you're going to have, for any given product type, there's a little bit of a range of, all right, if we set the standard here, and right now we're down here, one of the decisions you have to make is how close to perfection do we have to get? And that's where Dave's point on, you're going to prioritize that 20% of your business. That's the stuff you're going to want to be up here. Everything else is probably okay for you to, it's not going to be 100% compliant to this standard on every single level, but at least we know. And if at some point that business suddenly starts to become important to us, we know what we have to do to get it down that last mile.
Outstanding. Okay, Alex, did you want to contribute to the data discussion, or you want to jump right into the next question, which is, where do you see AI being successful in independent distribution?
I think we'll go both with the bonus round, because I think
go ahead.
Things of looking at it's the single biggest use case that I see for practical innovation with AI is actually in product content management and in pricing. And the biggest competitor that I've got in pricing intelligence is Excel. And if you look at it realistically, the long tail of your products in wholesale distribution, no one's had time to look at in terms of when was the last time I had a price change? When was the last time that I actually looked at the unit economics around this product to make it sell more? Because you can only do that for your top selling SKUs. It's the long tail. There's a lot of hidden treasure really unlocked in there, and something we've done in the product set for both SAP Service and CRM and Commerce is just surfacing insights to the business users to say, this product isn't being sold a lot, but people are finding it a lot. And this product isn't being found at all. And sometimes it's because your supplier has given you the wrong codes, the wrong descriptions, the wrong taxonomy, the wrong kind of tagging that goes with it. It's not being bought because it's not being found. And if you can use a technology set that will help you understand, how do I do more of what's working? But more importantly, how do I optimize what's not working? The technology you're using or investing in the next few years should already today tell the user where are the opportunities from my product, pricing, and promotion data, and help you make more sensible decisions about how to optimize the things that aren't working. There's plenty of people out there that can help with record keeping and help you with smoothing out some of the stuff that is working in a different way. But if you're going to look at getting value from new digital tools, it's about uncovering new opportunities. And AI is really good at sifting through large volumes of data. And someone like Arrow Electronics, one of our customers in the US, 175,000 customers, tens of thousands of SKUs, 10 million pricing conditions. People can't do that. They're not doing it with people. They're doing it with technology. And the technology allows them to figure out how to make their products findable, how to make them attractive in terms of price point, but adapt that price point and adapt that findability in the context of the individual customer over time. So it's getting smarter and smarter and smarter to allow those folks to focus on what's their strategy for finding, onboarding, and solving problems with new and existing partners.
Yeah, and yeah, no, I think that's right. And you're not providing a good customer experience if the customer can't find a product that you have to sell. That is a bad experience. It's bad for the supplier. It's bad for the customer. It's bad for you. And it's a huge problem and a bad experience, right? Okay, so Dave or Jason, one of you have thoughts on bringing AI into the customer experience world for distributors?
With just really building on what Alex said, not repeating it, but we've implemented AI to assist in simple things like blog creation. And blog may sound it's kind of B2C-ish, but actually it's helping people from search solve a problem, not just find a product. So we've got AI built in that generates articles and really enhances the content. And I think that's kind of a foundational element, and it's fairly straightforward. It's not super complex to go and make happen. So I'll stop there because I think we've covered a bunch of good points already.
Yeah, when it comes to product content and copy in particular, I think, yeah, like marketing copy, blogs, there's definitely a place for AI and generative AI to contribute there. The one thing I raise this a lot is anytime we're talking about product copy, product content, product around marketing, is we do need to make sure that we are accounting for the fact that product indemnity and product liability is a real thing in B2B. And just because the technology exists to create lots and lots of descriptive copy about product at scale doesn't mean that we don't owe our customers the responsibility to validate and to have real people who can testify on a stand that, yes, this thing that I said about this product is factually accurate. It can be very tempting to just have this magical tool create wonderful sounding copy, and it will be so confident sounding. You will be blown away. But we live in the real world, and until there is more precedent set and case law set about the impact of product of AI created copy, I'm being pretty conservative in terms of the recommendations I make to distributors who are looking to use it and what they're using it for.
Yeah, sorry, Jason. So that leads us to another question, actually, from Darcy, which is, how do you find a data partner? And in parentheses, she's got for item descriptions, specifications, et cetera. But I would throw in someone who has the savvy to avoid these legal issues by not just turning AI loose on your manufacturer's websites and downloading, and adapting descriptions. So how do you find a good data partner? I don't know, Alex, you want to start?
Yeah, I think this is one of the things comes back to community, in that there's lots of integrators and lots of consultancies that are out there trying to help solve data issues generically, but wholesale distribution, particularly in the industry you're in. So our customers are responsible for 78% of the healthcare products in the world in terms of distribution. It is a heavily regulated industry, and that supply chain of product information is a very heavily regulated and monitored thing. But consumer products, increasingly with nutrition and also with ingredients, again, there's lots of things can go wrong. So I'd say wholesale is a little bit of a special beast where you don't need someone who can help you with how do I actually do the marketing element of it, because that your technology vendor and your partners can do pretty well. It's in the context of my industry, how do I go out there with someone who really understands manufacturing, healthcare, with food, to be able to make sure I'm learning from, how do I make sure I've got the right quality of information and I've got a really good framework for the relationship you've got with your suppliers as to what are the standards you put in place to be able to get information from them to help them with that downstream activation of helping them sell their product. It's a lot of it is about the relationship you've got with upstream to be able to help you downstream with your customers. And there's some governance that is very, very sub-industry specific, where I'd always encourage people to learn from people who've been there and avoided court cases, rather than going out there with someone who's got a really good story about how it's going to appear just like it does on Amazon.
Dave?
I would just add, in many of the industry verticals, trade associations and buying groups have now engaged in some kind of relationship with content providers for their industry. So if you haven't checked there, I would go check in that scenario. I'll share, we do in many industries, we work with a company called Distributor Data Solutions out of Salt Lake City, electrical, plumbing, HVAC, gas and welding, high-tech equipment. And I would say, look, if you can, look for a partner who isn't scraping data off of websites. Look for a data partner who is working directly with the manufacturers. And so those would be things I would say. But community, Alex said it, somebody in your kind of industry vertical is going to have figured this out.
Jason, you want to add anything to that?
I mean, I think it's, there's a lot of different options now. I think there are actually interesting, it used to be back in the day that you would go and, find a BPO, right, offshore, who, would have a bunch of people who would go and pull data off of catalogs, off PDFs. And, there's certainly use cases where that can still work. But I think that the interesting thing is, given the size of the catalogs that more and more distributors are working with, and the need to kind of automate this, right? This needs to happen on a regular basis. Yeah. We don't generally just need product data once and then we never need it again.
Right.
This needs to be a process.
Right. Not an event. Right.
Thinking about it. Yes. So that's where the software. I'm going to somewhat disagree a little bit with Dave. There are some solutions out there that scrape the data, but then there's layers and processes on top of it to qualify and validate. So it's one of those things where, obviously, if you're able to get somebody to work with your suppliers on your behalf, that's the creme de la creme. But not everybody's going to have those kinds of relationships. So just, yeah, I mean, there are solutions out there. There's a lot of them, and you need to find the one that works for you, and that's where the community comes in. Whether it's the trade associations or buying groups, or even just groups like the community of folks who pay attention to your podcast. Ian.
Yeah,
lots of smart.
They're the best people of all. Hey, we're out of time. I do want to. We had one more question I didn't get to that person. I would say please email me at iheller@distributionstrategy.com, and I will get you an answer from one of our panelists. So sorry we didn't get to that. If you guys will bear with me for one more minute, I just want to talk about a couple of upcoming programs we have from Distribution Strategy Group. On November 8th, we will have Brooks Hamilton, who's one of the highest rated speakers at our recent AI conference, doing a best practices seminar called How Distributors Build Their AI Roadmap. That's brought to you by Oracle NetSuite and Connexium. Then on November 14th, we'll have a distribution leader panel. We have several people who have signed up, but we don't have them signatures yet, but there'll be distribution executives talking about how to use marketing automation to drive sales. That'll be brought to you by White Cup. Again, you can reach me at iheller@distributionstrategy.com. Gentlemen, it was a great conversation. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with our audience.
Well, thank you.
I hope you'll come back sometime. And until then, everybody, go get your data clean, get your customer experience where it needs to be, get your digital customer experience where it needs to be. Call on these companies and these guys for help. Thanks, you guys. Bye now.
Thanks. Bye-bye.